we'd like to start today, and just so that you all know, you're being recorded. And I'd like to say before we get started that we're going to adjust the agenda and include an executive session for 1 MRSA 4056E that we will have at 7:30. Just consultation with legal counsel. So just want you to know that we need a break for a little bit to do that. All right, we're going to start with warrants, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve warrant payroll item number 1 for $1,902.59. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable number 2 for $86,043.28. And that's RSU was 79,000. Fire department insurance was 3,500. So most of that was for just those 2 items, which is why it's such a big issue. So do I have a second for that one?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay. And the third accounts payable, and this is for June, some leftover things that April wanted to, not April, but Ashley wanted to make sure that we took care of June things in June, and even though it's July. So she set up a separate accounts payable, and that is for $7,015.91. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for July 3rd, select board meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and last week we didn't approve the town meeting record. We wanted to really look at it a little bit more closely, so we postponed that until tonight. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the June 24th, 2023 town meeting record. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All opposed or abstaining? Yeah, you weren't part of the team at that time. Yeah. All right. Any citizens issues tonight? We have a lot of citizens. Dick. This is Dick Tucker.
Yes, as part of the well survey, we've received several responses from people who are concerned about people who are storing junk vehicles and similar machinery on their property and what it might be doing to the groundwater. And to which time I can only tell them, you know, this study is not about enforcing the rules. So if people have a problem with that, what should I tell them?
Come see us.
Comes back to us.
I come and show up at one of these
Yeah.
meetings and
Yep.
But this also is a good lead into one of the other discussions about ordinances. We don't have much capability to take action. So this might be something to consider for looking at our ordinances.
yeah, based on the addresses of some of these people, I think I could speculate where the problem lies, but rather than point that out, I'm gonna tell the people that are complaining to me
Come see
to
us.
come and see you.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. good.
Yep.
Can I just ask Dick, are the water tests available now?
Yes, we're going to have a meeting on Thursday. We're going to finalize the plan for doing the water test. And the person who is the geohydrologist is working with us, is coming to the meeting. And we think we're going to be doing it in 3 batches because the lab can only handle 50 tests a week.
Okay.
And we've got 150 people that have indicated that they would like to have their water tested.
Okay.
So the 3 batches, I think, is the first one is everybody south of Post Office Road. The next week is going to be between Post Office Road and Peter. And then the third week is going to be everybody north of Peter. So it's going to be about 50 a week. And the plan is that we're going to have the test kits in here. And one of us on the conservation committee or a designee is going to be here to give out the tests. And we're going to check off to make sure we have the right contact information for the people so that we'll be able to mail them the results when they come back from the lab.
Okay.
What you do is they're going to pick them up and then we're going to tell them we're going to bring them back. And we need to make sure they're spread out enough so that we don't overwhelm the lab.
Right.
And then when the results come back, we're gonna mail the results back to the well owner, not the general public. The information that we get from the well test will be aggregated, but not on a specific per person or per property basis.
Nice. Thank you.
All right, any other citizens' issues? No? Glad we just have an audience here. All right. On with one of our topics is an ordinance review committee. Jeff, you want to start that conversation?
Sure. Talked about our ordinances in different contexts and the at times difficulty we have being able to address some issues in town because we don't really have any ordinance foundation. So in times we've talked, for example, about properties that look as if they're junkyards. We don't have anything to address that successfully with our ordinances. We have to go start looking at the state statutes with regard to junkyards. And I think to what the issue Dick just raised, that's a potential one where concerns about what people are storing on their property that might have an impact on their neighbors' properties or on the water table. Again, we have a limited capability to look at that with our current ordinances. So there have been other areas people have talked about looking at where we may have holes in our ordinances or need to maybe rewrite some of our ordinances. And thought possibly it'd be good to maybe talk about where some other concerns might be. And then for us to set up an ordinance review committee, basically people who would be willing to sit down and work and do ordinance writing, research, look at what other towns have, because again, we don't have to come up with this on our own. We can clone, plagiarize what other towns do. And the MMA has an awful lot of samples that we could use as well. But we need some citizens who want to take an interest in this and be concerned about the future of the town. I want to say that I would be nervous about trying to have too much way of laws and ordinances. We don't want to make things difficult for us because that's one of the things I think we valued. In fact, it came up in our comprehensive plan. People like the fact that we have relatively low regulation on the island. But on the other hand, there is the concern about, again, people can be hurt by activities of the neighbors, and how do we prevent that as much as possible? So it's a balancing act. And so we need to have people who are willing to sit down and listen as well, but suggest ideas and help us write or revise our ordinances.
I think.
Yep.
So I think that in the way we've been looking at ordinances on the planning board, is our objective is to simplify the ordinances, but make them precise. So that it's easier for people to follow them and easier for the people that have to enforce them to be able to enforce them.
And by the way, that was Rich Lawrence, and chair of the planning board. Yeah, you might want to join the committee. Yeah, we're not asking necessarily for committee names today, but let us know.
Bob Mooney has really been working heavily for the planning board on our ordinances, and I think he would be a great representative from the planning board to sit on that committee. I think he'd be willing to do this, so.
Great.
So
Right.
that's kind of the background. I was hoping to get some discussion about other needs or concerns about ordinance by hopefully getting some more interest. And I'm pleased to see somebody who came to the meeting.
Any further comments about this issue?
I just have one more.
Rich?
Isn't it after we write an ordinance, do we not give it to the MMA to review and to tell us if it fits into the law the way it's written?
We can, and also it could be reviewed by our town attorney, again, to make sure. So, yeah, we have a review process, and again, it should go through, have a public hearing. And again, we're looking at, be good to go through this process and have the ordinances ready for next town meeting next year.
If not before then.
Well, we definitely have to add the LD 2003 law that was passed a year ago, which we have till next July to add to a number of different ordinances that already exist.
And that's actually one of the reasons this whole discussion came up, because we realized that we need to do something about that. Yeah, yeah.
Can you clarify on 2003 for some of us who don't know it by the numbers?
LD 2003 is a home density law that was passed by the state of Maine that allows people to put a second dwelling or increase the dwelling units on their property. On Westport Island, they wrote the law without any concern about septic and water. So it's a concern of islands like Westport and many other communities like ours, that how do we deal with that? And somebody just can't put another 2-bedroom unit on their property without increasing their septic system to accept another 2-bedroom unit. So that's a lot, but we have to write it into our ordinances. It has to be there and be acceptable.
I would say also that water from that is
Mhm.
potentially vulnerable. And there's a really good article that Dick Tucker pulled in from Harpswell, that describes what water tables look like on peninsulas and islands like ours. And I would recommend that that article be looked at very closely by members of the planning board, by the select board, and that somehow it get disseminated out into the general public on the island for an understanding of what our water, what underpins our water.
The state made no, put no standards in for how this housing can be used, who it's to be used for, and anything to do with water usage. So it leaves it to, and it also overrides all of our ordinances.
Mhm. Yeah, so
Isn't
not very
there,
pretty.
some overput to modify the rule to exempt, towns of less than 4,000?
No, they voted on the laws, and that was voted down. So the only thing they voted on was changing the dates for when towns had to write it into their ordinances. Towns that have councils have to have it in by January, and towns that have select boards have to have it in by next July.
So that is significantly aggressive
Mhm.
schedule that we must meet. And it's interesting and good that the water study is happening.
Same
But
thing.
again, I reiterate that Harpswell informational piece might be important for the entire town to have access to, be encouraged to read and understand. So that if we need to make ordinances around water usage, there will be a better understanding of
Mhm.
why.
Mhm.
And it's not arbitrary, it's to protect all of the citizens on the island and any new ones who may come up.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Julie, had your hand up?
I think there's a couple of things I'd like to say. One is, I think it's a good idea having a committee that reviews the ordinances. I think one thing is, you have a committee such as the planning board whose responsibility is partially to handle the ordinances. However, you need a group that can also review, advise, and look at them, because we're looking, it's sort of how the comprehensive planning committee acted and was an advisory committee and ad hoc committee. So you're looking really for an ad hoc committee. I think one thing is you want people who represent all facets of the town and the municipality. So having a representative such as Bob from the planning board, I think if we're writing ordinances, because some of this is building code, some of this is just daily life ordinances, some of this has to do with conservation, some of this there's so many ordinances that we have here in this town, and we're lacking ordinances, some of it has to do with businesses. we have someone who represents the fire department, we have someone who represents the road committee. You have people from all different groups. Someone who has municipal knowledge, so that you have people who have different inputs and different thoughts and ideas, so that we're not just one-sided, everybody's from the planning board or the board of appeals, or,
It's our plan.
so I
Yep.
think we really need to
Yep.
have that diversity on
Yep.
this committee. And I would also say that it's not just someone, not just the code enforcement officer, but maybe someone who has building experience. And who's been doing it for a long time. But we really need someone also, when I say the fire department, because if they have to go in for a fire, we want to make sure that we have that experience. Someone who's currently there and is working with the current laws. So.
Yeah, yeah.
that-
Our plan is definitely to have a wide variety, and it's not necessarily we're gonna look at every ordinance, but, we have some laws that have just come up, such as the LD 203, that will demand that we do something pretty quickly. There were also some issues around roads that, we had talked to Jim about, so, just having this conversation about some of these things just made us decide that maybe we need to just have a committee that takes a closer look at these, so, we'll be reaching out to people, and people are welcome to reach out to us. You know how to contact us, either select board 1, 2, or 3, and, we're readily available, so. Anything else you want to say?
Well, just, I think let us ask people to, if you are interested in serving or can encourage one of your neighbors to serve, please send us your
Yeah.
the names. So we get some volunteers.
Yeah.
We need people who are willing to put in some energy this year.
Because it'll
But-
take
but-
some work.
But frankly, the points made about we need some diversity,
Mhm.
we will also go out and try to grab people we think have the right background skills. As well, but it'd be great to have people volunteer. Or, strong arm your neighbor that you think would be great to volunteer.
If not, we'll volunteer you. John,
Yeah, just curious on the timing, when you want us to start?
part of it, I would say, depends on how soon we get people on board. I think summer's a little bit hard, but summer's rapidly disappearing too. So I would say probably by early fall. That sounds.
Be nice if we could start after Labor Day,
Mhm.
so
I
give us a little
think,
bit of time.
I
to
think
get-
that getting some of these ordinances so we can vote on them for next year, we need to start after
Yeah.
Labor Day. They're very complex, as we all, as those of us that have worked on them know. And to make changes in them becomes difficult, so.
Yep.
It may take more than one town meeting or informational meeting to
Mhm.
get through the questions or changes that need to be made. So we
Absolutely.
have to keep that in mind also.
They'll need to be done by March.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, we'll start this, not this month, but,
One possibility is, with regard to the groundwater, is to require anybody that's contemplating another dwelling on their property, do a vulnerability assessment of their water, which is gonna be expensive and it's gonna be complicated. In other words, what you have to do is figure out what the safe yield of your well is, and whether you can build another well on your property,
mhm,
and how much you can pump out of it. Those are, when you have a well drilled, they give you a well yield. That's when that well was drilled, it might be 20 or 30 years ago, and now there may be 50 wells within a quarter mile, so you don't know when your well will be. So it's not a simple study,
mhm.
and, I think those are the kind of requirements that may be needed. to
Yeah, I
protect-
think the results of this study will definitely, influence, maybe some future ordinances. So, yeah, it'll be really helpful to.
Have you been in communication with any of the other peninsular or island towns like us? Is that?
You've been having some great conversation with them, I
Yeah, well,
know.
my
Yeah.
expectation is that there will be some legal.
Yep.
Maneuvering and maybe some kind of a class action thing where towns get together and point out the flaw in this methodology that the state is using.
Oh, for the LD 203, yeah, I think there has been pushback from the very beginning, so.
I know I'm in communication with Georgetown and Pittsburgh. And I guess Edgecombe's got a water problem. And I understand also that Booth Bay no longer can rely on Adams Pond. They're now gonna be piping water in from off
Off the island, off the peninsula, yes.
So I mean, there's a definite problem.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think this will be an interesting year where, with these new laws and new studies and whatnot. If we can be proactive, which is what we're trying to do, is let's look at this before. All of a sudden we have these big issues, but if we can create an ordinance before that happens, it could prevent some issues. So yeah, anybody that's interested, call your neighbors, strong arm them as Jeff suggests. And we'll get started in early fall. So, all right, thank you for that. And we still have 9 minutes, so we're gonna go to roads. Can you do that in 9 minutes, Mr. Road Commissioner?
A lot of work going on the island.
I passed some on the way, yes.
People need to pay attention. People need to drive cautious. Greenleaf Road was ground today, graded. East Shore Road tomorrow. Post Office Road has been paved. That was paid Friday. We started that driveway up there, south of Greenleaf Road. Again, more caution, bad
Mhm.
spot.
Mm-hmm.
We have our signs up, Crooker has their signs up, it can be confusing, you see orange signs. Slow
Slow
down.
down.
That's all, I'm not sure on the paving, if they're gonna pave up there tomorrow. Paving machines down the island, I don't know if they'll grind East Shore Road and pave East Shore Road before they pave up here. I'm not sure the schedule of events, but it's happening. And our town clerk has the RFP for the first round of work on Fowles Point Road and Soapwell Road and Post Office Road.
Great.
We need to fill in some dates of when the bids are due. And that's the template for the work on Bay Shore Road. As soon as I get a hard copy of this, that's my homework before next Monday, is to get the scope of work and stuff for Bay Shore Road, so we can get that up a bit. And Randy Russell is gonna be doing some brush cleanup and stuff before he mows the side of the road, and doing some work on the shoulders of the main road, the town section of the main road. With there's no dirt up against the hot top, and there's drop offs and other places, there's 16 inches of dirt. Right, the water can't get off. Randy's gonna address a few of them. I've got a few of them spots.
Great.
That's all I have.
Sounds like-
Right now.
A busy summer for road work.
Well, the island pump and the bridge work, they town paving, praying that the state doesn't show up and decide to start paving tomorrow because of all this other stuff going on. I mean, they're gonna be knocking on the door pretty quick, but.
Would it make sense for us to try to get a hold of the district engineer, and talk to them about the scheduling? Just to reach out to them and see if they'll respond?
I can try, I'm sure they're like everybody else.
Yeah.
The weather is kind of messing with everybody, because it has to be dry to pave the main road. Paving over pavement, it has to be dry. We haven't had many good paving days for.
A good while.
Just thinking about it, it'd be nice if they, called.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Like, gave us a warning?
Well,
Yeah, go.
I know, and this is, I just think maybe we gotta just reach out and say, hey, give us a heads up, so we,
I'll try and call
yeah.
her over to Edgewood tomorrow.
I'll try back through the local road center and see if we can't get, we've in the past, we've had some good relationship with the district engineer. But we've got a couple of things outstanding, one of which was getting some assistance on slowing, how to figure out how to slow traffic. They not getting any action there, still would like to get their help in figuring out how we might be able to encourage.
Bike man.
Yeah,
Speed bump. Okay,
So the only thing is we need some dates on this, on on this bid package, but we can do that anytime.
Well, maybe it's one,
You know,
maybe we could, so we've got to get our working session, now we scheduled our working sessions for Thursday from 4 to 6. We could look at that Thursday and maybe work out what looks good.
I just think that it'll be a couple weeks for people to look at where, ask questions, pull numbers together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we want to look at it and then we can approve something next Monday. And then you're right, we'd want to let at least 3 weeks, maybe 4, before bids are due.
2, 3.
2, 3, okay, 2, 3.
I want to get these right out, and I want to get the ball rolling, because I don't want these guys trying to do road work while the state's painting the road.
We'll plan to have something for you Monday. We'll make a decision Monday.
Yeah, one other thing.
Okay,
The driveways on these newly paved roads, soon to be paved roads, will be shimmed up 2 or 3 days after they're paved. Give the pavement time to harden up a little bit. The shouldering will take place a week or 2 after. Because that's a much bigger truck and a lot more weight on the new hot dog.
so anybody that comes and complains that there's a gap, we need to tell them, wait a couple days. Yep, yeah. Okay, yep, we'll give him Jeff's number.
I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, we've got time for one more item. I've got correspondence here, and I just want, I have one piece of correspondence, and that was from where are my glasses? This is from Fresenden Geotechnical LLC, who'd done a study. What is it? Fessenden, okay. Who had done a study of the drinking water at the town hall, and I thought you might be interested in this. And basically, it says that they don't recommend any treatment, it's fine. And I thought that would be a nice thing to hear, that at least that's fine. We don't know of anything around the area, but they did test the groundwater at the town hall, and that's good.
The context is the concern about
Right, Cromwell.
spreading a sludge by Frank Cromwell some decades ago, and whether there's any PFAS compounds that might have penetrated down the water table. So that it's not just us. We don't know the results for the other communities. I did talk to Joe Kikatan, and he's also gotten results back there. He has what used to be Frank's property, so he's adjacent to where that spreading had taken place, and they also had a negative result. So that's good news, but we don't know what has happened with other folks who might possibly be affected. But at least for now, we don't have any PFAS contamination that's of concern.
Safe to drink it at the town office. So I'd like to, I think because it's close to 7:30, what I'd like to do is step out of this session, and then we will come back. We have some administrative items that we need to deal with, but for right now, we need to talk to our legal counsel. So what I'd like to do is make a motion that we adjourn for present our board meeting at 7:29. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, and then we will go into executive session. When we come back, we'll resume and talk about all the administrative
We need
items
to
we
have
have.
a motion here, executive session.
Oh, did I did I got a second? All in, I thought I said all in agreement.
Wait, don't go out of the other, we need to go into the executive.
Oh, I thought we could do that. We can't do that in there? Oh, she has to be there? Okay. I'd like to make a motion.
Well, we're gonna move into executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought we were literally gonna
The
move
legal-
into that.
Oh, yeah, she said that earlier, but you can say it.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Yeah. Yeah, so now I was thinking we should do that there. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session per 1 MRSA 405(6)E. Do I have a second? All in favor?
All right.
Okay, so got all that.
I think so.
Okay, we should be back.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello? Yep. Hi there. Are you able to hear? Okay, I'm sorry. So I didn't understand. This is Susan from the Wiscasset newspaper. Hi. I didn't understand. So are you taking a break and then going into an executive session?
No, we're going into executive session now. And we'll be back in probably about 20 minutes. We're going to talk to our lawyers. We'll be back in about 20 minutes and resume our meeting.
Great. So can I just stay on the Zoom line? This will stay open or no?
Absolutely. The Zoom line will stay open. You guys, just be careful, you're being recorded.
Thank you.
Okay, that's for all of us.
All right. Everybody. I don't think so, because you guys have a determined. Yes, yes, no, I. Double check. Okay, here's this in case you try to memorize by now.
Subcommittee member, alternate member. According to the legislation bars.
They're all DOT.
Yes, you're the one on the planning board. Have to train. You got to choose. What?
Swing around and swing around.
Oh, yeah.
Planning.
Yeah, no, well, sounds like pretty much. But I. Well, unless you know, like that.
Very good, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, he goes, well, I'm supposed to be over there, but there's no room. And then he pulled out the lock. I mean, the thing was just. Literally beside. So,
Very much.
so Randy came down, I guess they moved a couple of guys. Down to Randy to put them in. So, but and then, that's gonna go. So he was too far back, I guess, because he was. So there was only. But anyway. No, what I don't think with you, we should bring in six hours.
I was thinking we should start this ordinance. No, people are already chomping at the bit to.
Really want to start meeting for another time.
Yeah. Start being informed, like, start putting things around. Yeah, like, I mean, it's why. It's huge. There's things that I do, like, it's pretty easy to do.
It's probably just confused. I think that's- Yeah, well, you do that and you can stand on the rim.
Well, we've heard about it so far. People really. No. Yeah, I have. I mean. Yeah, and there's comfort going, the ball starts to roll, but. It's, you know, it's just kind of. It's always like whatever the thing. I may have had a chest pain, but I wasn't. It takes time to have any kind of check. You know. Maybe something out, I don't want to know.
They're gonna be sitting there and I'm going, look at this. Guess what? Look at this view. I'm sitting on the right way. I also like to do.
Now, is that?
Oh, they need to be well, no, but
You share
they
that?
need a lot of- There's like-
They're well there.
Anyway,
It's fine.
no, I don't. Really, I guess, I don't know. I don't know. So if I pulled in Val first, please, I was down.
Yeah.
It's not for me at all. It's not gonna matter.
Well, I mean, it's gonna work. It's gonna work because they're gonna turn full.
Yeah, the rounds have been able to turn up to one floor. That's why that's the part of it. And then they was looking at the boards and I went out and looked and they said, you're really running.
Oh, yeah.
One day, just there, I feel like it's sick to bring it up. Just fall out.
Good enough. Good to see
Right, doing good work. Yeah, all going on there, now all at once.
So big.
I saw a lot of celebrating on
And it's really funny.
Facebook about where they didn't go on.
From Lower Center. Lower Center, calling the rest of them.
I got a friend that moves away, and I love, I like to talk to them every night. You open that can, you're in.
Yeah,
And that was fine.
I only looked at it this week, and I read my article. I,
These laws were being.
talk about what's going on the island, just based on where I'm kind of like in water. Water, what people are talking. So I just pick up on what's going on the island.
They tried to get it so it wouldn't affect the island.
Otherwise, I try to.
I know they voted that down.
Name calling, stuff, that's what's not.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's so easy. What's in it?
But if
People really.
we don't.
That's why you want.
The.
I'm pretty old school, money, whatever, I mean, like,
I did for the longest time. Until
Just turn around and see
all the family kept texting me and I couldn't keep up with them all.
And then just.
We can require, like, the proper is to cover about.
just because, you know, some of the.
Water. You know, those public.
Screen in.
Yeah, I still have 3 of them, you know, I don't use them anymore. Yeah.
You know how
That's
it's
cool,
lost.
I have an indestructible one. And, oh.
We don't want need it because.
Afraid you would shut the business.
So that's what it is. People may want to be hurt if we have a lot of.
Been down to New Hanover, everywhere.
Because, you know. Never have one. I should say there's a thing that I don't. Nobody was there when they want to. So I. But so a lot of people that are closer to the water.
Had a floor that we built.
You know, a couple of people named them this year, upstairs.
And
Yeah,
then
there
The
is.
water was fine.
Easy
Because
to beat
somebody
up.
washed it across the.
pretty. Carry on. It's gonna be indestructible.
And then I know one person that had a, the neighbor cracked the well, you know, I think it was. And that's.
Job done.
Anyway. Can I go home and make some dinner?
Okay.
They left him there. Fend for yourself. I don't know how to-
So my God.
Anyways, good to see you.
Yeah.
It did.
Birds are black. I'm down there.
Issues on.
To the right, fishing off the dock. You know, they move down, they really, you know. Cast. Yeah, gonna have no doing it. And then the dog wants to go back up. Takes the dog back.
I'm gonna get
We are.
website.
Back.
It looks a little different than looking at the back end.
They're kind of- So I fished in between.
Good job. You just click on that.
Yeah.
And then zoom in.
Oh,
That's
great. That's super.
Yeah.
They're all in the same position.
Okay, that's good. Because once the-
So it's, down to.
Good to see you. We're kind of.
They have a.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of work.
They have a. They have all the wells of salt water. So they have
Because they did a major revamp.
saltwater freshwater system there.
Yeah.
And
Because I guess a couple things we need to do.
and I'm sure there's plenty of places like that.
Road signs on.
Well, you know, I did this also, you know, there's people on the,
Shell road.
they're 1,500 gallon tanks, so they're big.
Responsible.
There are people who have access permits on their roof, they're collecting them.
And I got concerns about driveway.
You know, and there are people who have, you know, all kinds of.
Telling everybody to do their stuff.
And
Or
that-
negative, we
and
affect
because they're
taxpayers.
coming, well, what's the thing, it's in- it's in 20 years, the last 10 years, you've got. I think the broad-
But you know, like, you guys,
How do we put in that?
the more that that really helps us. The more houses you move.
Yeah, we need to have solutions down.
You know.
No, there's a bunch of them that are 3 acres, that we split something, 3 to 7, 3 and 7,
No.
3, you know, I think 3 or 4 that we split were
Doesn't.
3 acres, but those 3 acres are water, 7 acres or 7.5.
All we do, and we are doing the same thing. We just need a rule.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, we decided it once.
Yeah. And it can be complicated.
People wanna, kind of feel on their revenue, that's their business, but I think it needs to understand that
Well, that's good.
That might be hot.
there's unintended consequences.
I've seen people forget that once or twice. It's a-
Oh, I can, you know. Well, look, that's what I'm trying to find. Yeah, he's like. But just common sense stuff, you know, it's nothing, nothing, that prohibits somebody from doing something, just something so their driveway doesn't cause taxpayers.
There's a couple of people that have
Yeah, yeah.
wondered what to do about
You know, they are starting to use one person.
unused cars or junk cars. I mean, I've seen
Like the shop or something. Put a lot of value on them signs because it's nice.
Once back, right?
I put more value on them than I do any speed limit or stop sign. Because those are the signs that stay alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, maybe you could speed limit that.
Yeah.
Slow people down so when it's cold.
Signs are very, very good.
Yeah.
Go put up.
That's our
like you
biggest.
said,
Mhm.
Go put up 3 orange signs.
That's true.
100 feet back,
I
300
think
feet
I
back.
know who this person.
Both sides, stand there, no, stand there, see how many people saw it.
Mentioned it.
Flowing through.
And I was referring that,
Because I, yeah,
this person.
I was guilty of that. We're going right over, and I'm like, holy.
No, it's like conservation.
And apparently they were for sons.
Charging laws, I don't have.
I was thinking about tech, I was like, guys, they're calling you from on that, I was like,
No, that's
the
it.
universe at work.
Yeah, it's a problem, really.
We need like,
Cause I, you know,
little sticks in the middle of the road, ask people to shut over. Those things, I don't know. They'll slow you down.
To make sure.
like that's the way to go, speed bumps in the bar. So you need like.
Well, stop and I've never seen anyone stop for speeding. And that's true here. Yeah, I mean,
I.
if I drive some miles through the day, good chance.
What I mean.
I do, I give them, I show them all the.
It's
information.
structured.
On the phone.
Look at my five,
It's not stupid.
you're only going 80 miles an hour.
You know, the problem, the other,
Speed limit is 60.
the landing.
What are you on? I ain't saying it's been a safe.
46,000 crane. Incredible. The crane is 11 feet high. It weighs 46,000 pounds. So you're not gonna come down your paved roadway. Oh, it's right. Because I told him he couldn't shoot it. He's calling us like stupid. Then he reported these to the plumbing inspector. claiming that
Deer.
fragments were made in the backyard of the neighbor's property, which is very close to the septic system. So I called up Gary, and Gary came and looked at it and says, you have nothing. to worry about." And then this is big, semi on
I
top
got
of
the
it.
CDL and said,
Berkowitz is
I'd rather be the big guy on the road than the little guy on the
So,
road.
I don't know, it's all between.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
Hit him in the wall.
I don't know, the swimming pool is not very big, I didn't realize that at first.
Could you pull some kind
And
of
I'm sure it's costing, you know, it's gonna cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you know, you look at the,
Like, whatever, if you're bringing.
architectural measures, which the
Okay.
the house looks like, across the water, and with a view.
Because I've seen people.
That's what they're trying to create.
It's trying to fill
Because the
in.
water doesn't- But it's gonna be ridiculous expensive. It's coming in there with a landing craft, to bring in cranes,
He was
I know.
fine,
and this guy,
like you said,
you know,
well,
he's sending the well.
Yeah, we plant highways. That's crazy.
And the question, do you drink the water? No, I don't
You
have.
know, everybody used to call out. Going too fast.
Better safe than sorry.
That was just like.
I mean, it's nice to hear that.
Right on two wheels is what I have.
You know, consumer reports get one of those things that follows, yes, and by the water.
Big, loud.
Water was better.
My brother, everything like it's $80,000 property.
Just after doing.
We lost half our crowd.
What?
We lost half our crowd.
Well, I think they're,
A lot of them last.
Yeah. I have more on the agenda than I realized. All right, we exited our executive session at 7:50. We made a motion and all three of us agreed. I'd like to make a motion that we enter back into our regular board. Do I have a second? All in favor? All right, so we will now go to administrative items. And April, you had some things, you want to start with yours, or I can go down this list? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think the only thing on here for me, oh, maybe there's a couple things, is the appointment of the broadband and technology committee, because previously I had written it up as the technology committee, and it was informed it should be the broadband and technology committee. So we need to do those appointments. They were in your folder.
They were, and I know I pulled them out and put them someplace.
There should be, I think, 4 of them.
Yeah. It's not it. There we go. This is the. Yes, all right, so so I'd like to make a motion that we approve the appointments of the following individuals. Jeff Tarbox, Gay Wagner, Jason Cates, and Ralph Jacobs to the Broadband and Technology Committee. Do you, and that's for a 1-year term for all 4 of those. Do I have a second? Do I, all in favor? Aye, all right, and we'll sign these at the end of the night. We won't waste any of your time here doing that. All right, did you have another one?
That was the only appointment one.
Okay, but do you have anything else on your
Oh,
admin?
yes, setting the August schedule.
All right, August. It's coming up right smartly. I
Can
can't
you
believe
believe
that.
that? It's terrible. Don't want to talk about it. So I don't think there's any big holidays.
Nope, I would suggest that we continue the 6 o'clock workshop
Mhm.
and then 7 o'clock town meetings for the month.
Select board meetings.
Select board meetings, yep, town meetings. Oh, God, can you imagine those weekly? All right, it's
And
some
then-
kind of meeting, and then on
still-
Thursdays.
yeah.
And then Thursdays, we've switched to Thursday afternoon from 4 to 6, if anybody's interested in joining us for our workshops here in the office. And I don't see any reason not to have those every week. Unless something happens. Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing on this agenda that was for me was, Gay wanted to borrow the, event tent we have in the town hall, or, yes, town hall for the history event. So I don't know who gets to give permission for that, but I thought I would ask you guys.
It's for the Friends of Westport Island History Committee.
She just said there's an event coming up and they want to borrow the tent.
Yeah.
I don't know the
This
details,
weekend?
but.
Yes.
I have to think about that then.
Yeah. So, on a broader note, like maybe we should think about
How do we rent it out?
renting that out. It's a nice tent. Maybe it would be useful for people for weddings and stuff. It's, you know, kind of big for elections, in my opinion. Having put it up once, I was like, oh my God. So we have a nice big event tent. Maybe we can come up with a system for renting that. It's a nice idea.
There's something to think about. Should we charge the Friends of Westport Island History like $100 or something?
I wasn't proposing right now.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we loan out for free the Friends of Westport Island History for their July 16th East Shore lawn party.
Second.
All in favor?
And abstaining.
All right. And speaking of the Friends of Westport Island History, we also have a license to for beverage and lottery commission, lottery operation.
Let me explain.
Mhm.
So when there are events with alcohol involved, there are times when there is a license required by the state. The Friends of West Palm History thought that they weren't gonna have to do the license because they're not selling any alcohol. And they're actually using a bartending service. But we've been advised that because admission was charged for the event, even if it's not for the alcohol, that puts us in the position of providing alcohol for some type of money. So and for a license, the select board acting for the town has to approve the event. So the event is at 171 East Shore Road, which is Jack and Gail Swanton's home. And the event is the Friends of West Island History's gala this Sunday, and celebrating Ken Swanton's book on the East Shore settlements and their maritime history. So it's going to be a lot of interest, I think, to people, particularly in the eastern side of the island, for the history there. But that's the reason for the event, and there will be alcohol available. And just so you know, this is the area that would be where alcohol could be available. So we're going to have to mark that area off.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for a license for incorporated civic organization for alcohol serving on the 16th. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
I think I'll have to abstain again.
Yep. Okay, so we need to sign that. We can put it right there and sign at the end of the evening. All right, so anything else from you?
Nope, just working on appointments. So
Okay.
I'll be sending out some emails.
Yep. All right, one of the things is to talk about the status of assessing, and I'll let Jeff talk about that because he's been able to meet with Evan this week, and I know I haven't been able to, have you?
I went out today.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Yeah, so that actually is kind of the good thing is that, we're making good progress. We've got actually most of the assessing, the initial assessing work done. We still have some areas to do. So again, Evan Gukowski is our commercial assessor, and he's doing the actual work and measurement. The select board goes along to provide assistance to him and also to meet with the residents. What I think would like to suggest that we do is sit with Evan to finalize it, to kind of go down the list and talk about what it's found, what he recommends for modifying the assessments. What we're looking at this point are the changes that come about because of building permits. And that includes new dwellings as well as things like decks or piers, ramps and floats, anything that changes the value of the property. We're looking at. And then Evan will put in the information into our trio system that will then calculate the revised property value. And then obviously will drive the taxes. So it's an important part of reestablishing our tax base every year to reflect the changes. But I think this is also a good time for us all to get experience with this aspect of things. So we have some time to get this finalized, resolve any issues. I'd like to say that the Board of Assessors can send out a little notice to the people that we've been to their homes and let them know what we've done. Because people don't necessarily know we've actually been there unless they're home.
Right.
So it'd be good to let them know that we've actually been by and let them get the initial results and hopefully resolve any concerns before we have to finalize at the end of August. At that point, we'll do our commitment and that would set the tax rate and the tax bills for the town.
I think it's a great idea to let people know, especially if they haven't been there, to know that somebody's been to your house and actually has looked at it, even though you weren't aware, and you might not think that anybody's paying any attention, and we are. Rich.
Does Evan set the value of the assessment when he goes and looks at the house, or does he take it off the application for the permit?
Neither. I believe there are factors set into the TRIO system. And their state determined assessment factors. So he doesn't, he just collects the information that gets fed in the system, a lot of the square footage. Or what the type of heating system, or now, the one place where there is some discretion is the quality of the construction. And there are other factors too at times, which is maybe depreciation. If it's a very dilapidated structure, you may depreciate its value. So there are some areas of discretion, but mostly he's using predetermined factors for valuation.
He makes a determination on the percentage. For example, if you started a house and you 20% done, 50% done, that I know and again, he's got some criteria for deciding that, but he does decide
I
that.
only asked this question because in one of the building permits that I came across my desk, the value for the estimated cost of the house and the size of the house was about maybe a quarter of what it would cost on the application to build that size house.
Something like that, you should let us know right away.
Well,
Before it goes further.
we're being coached to say ignore that.
Yes, okay, that was my question.
Yeah, we've been coached to ignore the value that's put down on the building.
The
permit.
estimated value, but is the permit based on that estimated value? There's another question. There's the permit fee that people pay so much per thousand for the permit.
I thought it was based on the area.
Square foot.
Yeah,
footage.
square footage. Yeah, so it doesn't matter the cost of, yeah, it's square
Okay,
footage.
perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So whether it's,
Nobody's gonna
yeah,
be honest on that, you know.
Well, that's what that was my question. It was a very large house at a very small price.
Yeah, no, I think it's.
yeah.
Someone's probably wishful thinking on their part.
Yeah, but it is by square footage and
Okay.
I remember that coming up earlier this year.
We actually had a case today going by to look for a property where they were gonna be building a sunroom. And found out they decided not to build it because they had an estimate, but when they actually went out to get the real pricing,
Yes.
they said, no, maybe not this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What parts of this assessing process is subjective?
Well-
I went through this because, you know, if you have waterfront property, there's all kinds of definitions of waterfront property. Some people live on a salt marsh, it only shows water at high tide. Other people, it's a mud flat, you know?
I think it's defined by shoreline zone. So I don't think that's just open as much to subjective judgment. I think that's really defined by the shoreline zone. So that's coming still down from the state.
You know, people live on the west side of the island. They have a mud flat at low tide, and people who live on the east side of the island, they have all weather navigable, all tides navigable. So I would think that should be different.
But we still are gonna go by what comes down as the shoreline zone for the state.
I have water on the west side and it's determined by high water mark. So when I first moved here, that low water mark where the code is, I was charged for that. But they did fix that. So it is a high water mark, not the mud flats. But if somebody has an issue, they should come to us and figure that out. I know I had to go to the town, years ago when it was an issue for me.
So people can obviously always file for an abatement.
They always can.
Right. But I like Evan. I have a lot of trust in him. I went with him last year. And these two have had a chance this week. I haven't. But he's using his best judgment and a lot of things like TRIO and whatnot. There are standards that he's following. So,
I had an issue with some property I own in New Hampshire. And they claimed that I had 4 lots of land, they were all developed. Well, the problem is one of the lands at a 45-degree angle. And it would not be developable. And I had to convince them that it wasn't.
well, and the nice thing, actually, Evan doesn't live on the island. He doesn't know people on the island. So when he comes to your property, he's looking at that property, not as Dick's property or Rich's property or something. This is what I see and what judgment I'm making. Totally. And I think that's really a good thing. So, And I do trust his judgment, and I know if there were an issue, he would welcome any conversations, but, as we said, you can always apply for an abatement, but it'd be nice to get it fixed before the tax, commitment's done.
That's why I think it's good you're sending out these notices. That way if somebody has a problem, you can talk about it before the commitment.
Yeah, if they're interested, they can give us a call
It may ruin my July and August.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that.
July's halfway done already, so,
Yeah.
all right, so, anyway, that's the status of assessing, so that has been going on. Other legal, anything else for, admin items, nothing, okay. Other legal business, do you want to talk briefly about the Baker Road agreement?
Yeah.
Or not?
Well, we hadn't had any activity with the Baker Road agreement. We, again, from a mediation, we believe we had an agreement that had been agreed to by the other party. Our attorney had submitted language to the other party's attorney. We finally heard back last week. They did have some changes they wanted to make. Our attorney has recommended that we not agree to two of the changes. And I guess I'd like to move that we go along with our attorney's recommendation and not agree to the two changes that he thinks are problematic.
There were many changes, by the way. Yes, I second that. And all in favor? Aye. Yeah. So hopefully we'll finally get this thing signed and we'll get the sign out from the middle of the road.
What, just so people, you know, that was one question come back from a butter was, they will have 14 days from when the agreement is signed to actually to make the changes. So it won't happen necessarily right away, even though mostly he's moved things back. Maybe not all the way, but at least it's a lot of the materials now out of the road. But he'll have 14 days to fully comply with the agreement.
And we won't move that sign until that 14 days is up.
Yeah, I need a signed agreement before I put my bulletproof vest on.
It is sort of funny to, have you been down there, John? The sign in the middle of, up with a pile of dirt in the middle of the,
I just keep thinking at this point now, is he telling us, oh, he's expecting us to now to move it? Maybe that's what the thinking is. We'd have to talk to him to find out.
He moved it there. My theory is. he should-
Well, that's what we're saying, but.
But if it comes down to it, I'll move.
When you move it, make a very big concrete footing for it.
yeah, and when you move it, then flatten that whole road and get rid of things. So any other information, any other issues, comments, clarifications? April, anything? Nope. All right, I'd like to make a motion, then we adjourn and we'll sign these at the end when we adjourn it. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, so we need to sign these things. You don't sign yours.
Okay.
Um,
Are you doing this for me?
Yeah.
Lisa was gonna take over from me, but. I enjoy not having to worry about it.
We can discuss, I mean, I'm happy to be here and do it if it's easier for you guys, or if you are happy to do it yourselves, then it's up to you.
So we'll get some help with the.
I think
Either way,
it's,
We're back to the.
you know, whenever you have time and can,
Yeah, it's not, you know, especially if the meetings are
And we drove down.
crazy.
Talked
we had talked about it.
Strawley. Tracy. Tracy.
Oh, the guy in the house.
Yeah, we went to his house today. We